to the Marketing Pulpit Show, and I am Robert Gatewood, your host. We are here every Friday at 10:30 a.m. bringing you the good of marketing gospel. We're not saving souls, we're saving businesses, saving jobs, saving our community. Now, if I happen to save a soul along the way, don't hold that against me. We'll just call that icing on the cake. Now, the mission at Marketing Pulpit Show is to build strong businesses in our community so that we can put our people to work. And we do that with business development, job creation, and service. So if you ever find yourself in a business crossroads and not sure which way to turn, just turn on the Marketing Pulpit Show because we're on a mission. The show is broadcast live from the illustrious Radio 1 studio. My company, you can go to gatewoodmarketing.com. You can also go to find me on YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, X, you name it, we're out there. Just go to Google and type in Robert Gatewood or the Marketing Pulpit. Got a great show lined up today. We're going to talk about some things that are pertinent in the news, and we have a question about email marketing. We're going to talk about email marketing today. Do you use email marketing? And first, let me ask you this question. Has email marketing been replaced by social media marketing? Think about that for a minute. We're going to talk about that later in the show. Got a lot of things going on today. We're going to talk about some items in the news. We're going to talk about some observances today also. It is actually the, what day is it? This is when the month of June. This month, National Men's Health Month. That's very important. And Professional Wellness Month. We want to really emphasize this men's health. We've been losing people right and left. Just lost one of my classmates, Mr. David Smith. His funeral was this week. Right before that, another classmate, Wallace Jenkins. So men, please, this is the month to take care of that health. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with you, but prevention. Take those preventative measures and make sure you get your PSA checked, get your blood pressure checked, get those checkups regularly. And let's take care of ourselves, man. Let's take care of ourselves. And that's anybody, whether you're man, woman, man or child. Let's take care of ourselves. Make sure we got our health, because we can't have a successful business if we're not healthy. I mean, we can, but it's going to be a lot more difficult. Let's see what else is going on. We had Father's Day this past Sunday. Once again, shout out to all the fathers. And we celebrated Juneteenth on the 16th of this month. That was a couple of days ago. So I hope everybody got out. I went out to a couple of events and took a few pictures, and I'm glad to see people out and getting some sun on. And it's Juneteenth holiday it's been a national holiday just a couple of years now. I was kind of it's a little makes me think though how it was actually passed almost unanimously in the Senate. I mean, we've never agreed on anything almost 100%. So let's see what else is going on. If you haven't joined the business directory already, go to marketingpulpit.com or mpi.bz and get your name in the directory. We have a directory that's, if you're trying to get your business out there and you're looking for a good way to do it, go to mpi.bz and we promote it right here on the show every Friday. Plus, when people are asking me, do I know a good attorney or a good real estate agent, a good graphic designer, a good web designer? I can't remember all your names. I've gotten a lot of cards from people. People email me all the time. Can you send me people? I'm going to send them to the directory. So get your name in the directory. It's going to make it easier for me, and it's going to really help you. And there's no fee for being included in the directory. Now, we have some advertising packages that you can take advantage of, but to get your name in that directory and get announced on the show every week, there's no fee for that. So get over to mpi.bz. Also, we want to thank our sponsor, BLE Executive Suites, Miss Bernadette Clay and Company. Great group of people who have made this show possible over years. They have 3 locations in the DC area: office space, mailbox services, phone answering services, accounting services, training rooms. Go to blesuites.com, or you can call them at 301-322-1700. Tell them Robert Gatewood sent you, and they got a special deal for you. That's BLE Executive Suites, one of our great sponsors. Glad to have them on board. I want to talk about a few things in the news. And once again, thank you everybody for tuning in. I want to say hello to some folks. I see Miss Colette Jackson. Thank you tuning in. I'm going to call her doctor in advance. She's working on that doctorate degree. Man, get that. There's something about this society right now. It's kind of twisted. It's like they're downing and marginalizing education and certification and degrees. There's nothing wrong with getting you an education. Okay, get that degree if you can get it, because there's going to come to a point where there's going to be a separation of the wheat from the chaff, and I'm going to talk about that also in our sermon today. How that sometimes you have to create degrees of separation. Yes, the person next to you may have some of the same qualifications. They may look like you, may walk like you, may be your same age, same demographics. But as a business owner and as a professional, you have to create degrees of separation that separate you from other people. Sometimes it's credentials, sometimes it's accurate certifications, sometimes it's just learning, getting down and figuring it out, doing it differently, being unique about it. So anyway, once again, congratulations on in advance for Dr. Colette Jackson. I want to say good morning to Brother Gerald Brown, one of the greatest plumbers in town. Glad to have him on board. He's been a great follower of the show, and glad to see him this morning. And if you want to get a shout out, just go to just put your name in the feed, and I'll give you a shout out. If you got a business you want to promote, drop it in there. I give you this free shout out right here on the show. This is the Marketing Pulpit, and this is what we do. We build businesses in our community and putting people to work. I'm also a professor at Prince George's Community College, where I teach marketing, networking, and social media strategies. I've written 2 books, one called Played in Full and one called Smarter Than the Boss. I also work in the government space as a consultant for the Small Business Administration in the 80 program, helping companies in the technology and web space. So I've been at this for a minute, but I'm here today to help you. I'm not here trying to sell anything. I'm telling you, my plate is full. I'm right now so busy working with my clients that I do this as a community service. That is correct. I'm not selling today. I'd rather sell, because this is one of my ways of giving back, because I worked many years in corporate America, and I saw that the playing field was so distorted. Small companies really didn't have much of a chance, and it's still it's an uphill battle even now. But I figured I would take my skills when I left corporate America and bring them over to the small business community and share some of that same information that made them the successful companies that they have become. And with the right steps, hard work, commitment, dedication, tying your business to a purpose, understanding, having the right mindset, have a mission, understanding marketing, then success can be yours as well. And I'm here to make sure that happens. What we also try to do is make sure you're abreast of what's happening in the news. And by all means, stick around. We're going to talk about later in the show. Has email marketing been replaced by social media? We're going to talk about that coming up in the show, so you don't want to miss that. Let's talk about some items in the news. I try to keep you abreast of what's happening in the news so we can contextualize to make sure we don't get left behind. Because some of these things affect us, and some of us cause us to think and say, should I be doing something differently? Is there any way I can help change this paradigm? Let's talk about the first item. In Louisiana, the governor has mandated that the 10 commandments are to be displayed in the classrooms. That's right. Governor Jeff Landry signed legislation on Wednesday requiring every public classroom in Louisiana to display the 10 commandments, becoming the first state with such a law. And it has inflamed tensions about separation of church and state. Now now his justification was, if you're going to respect the rule of law, you got to start with the original law giver, which is Moses. Like you say, folks, common sense is not coming. Well, let me just say this. I'm gonna say this to Jeff. I have one question. It's a simple question. What do you plan to do with the thousands of people who technology today. And there's a reason we have a separation of church and state. Governor Landry, I'm gonna ask you again, what do you plan to do with the thousands of people who are not Christian? Yes, I was raised Christian. I still practice it, but I don't want to force it on school children, particularly ones who may be of a different faith or no faith at all. You go to school to learn the 3 R's. You learn math. You learn how to read. Okay? You learn how to write. I believe that this is something that's better taken care of in churches and in the homes and not in the schools. But obviously, the governor doesn't care about the people who are not Christian. So my question is, what do you plan to do with them or to them? And I ask that of everybody, anyone who's pushing this in the school system. That's my take on it. What else is going on? Well, something else is happening in the school systems in Los Angeles. Man, these states are just having a field day. They are banning cell phones in the schools. Well, at least that's been the proposal. The ban will start in January, and it could involve phone lockers, which means having a place to put the phones when the kids are not using them. Well, let me say this. I actually like to move in this direction. As an educator, I'm an educator. I've been in that classroom. Matter of fact, I still am. I do much of it now by virtual, by Zoom. So I'm not, whether you have your phone going or not while I'm on Zoom is not going to be my concern. But I have been in the classrooms, and it can be very distracting. And it's part of that mental health that has come up often about children and their ability to, or lack thereof, to concentrate on things that are important because they're so focused on social media and their cell phones. So I'm going to say, LA school system, I like what you're doing. I like the direction you're going. I think we need to put some smart people in the room, close the doors, and work it out. There probably needs to be some exceptions, some type of guidelines, like you say, maybe take the phones when they come in the door, make them turn them off. But the status quo is untenable. Let's see. Here's an interesting story also. If you're a bad guy, look out. This luggage worker in Florida, the guy I guess he was out there on the baggage line taking the baggage. He stole the woman's bag. So as luck would have it, the lady had an Apple Watch in her bag. And she found out, she tracked it. If you have these Apple products, you can track anything. You can track the little earbuds, you can track your phone, you can track your watch, and it'll tell you exactly where it is. Probably some people under the sound of my voice have experienced that, where you've lost something, and then you go to track it and you wait a minute. I left it at the school. How did it get over to this kid's house? Or I left it over here. I left it in the office. How did it get over here and 15 miles away? Because of this tracking device. So I'm just a little word of caution to the bad guys out here. Give it up. Either go back to school and learn some technology, or stop being a bad guy, or be both, really. Be both. Stop being a bad guy and go ahead and learn some technology. Make a little more money. Well, there's been another cyber attack across the United States. These cyber attacks are just, let me say this, ladies and gentlemen. The car dealerships across the country, the system they use was hacked. And a lot of the car dealerships couldn't get into the customers' accounts. They couldn't do this. The service departments couldn't keep the records straight and so forth. And so it's a sign of the times. Now, what's the message behind this? One is you have to take personal responsibility for protecting your own data. You cannot expect these companies to do it because they've done a pretty terrible job at it. They've been hacked every week or something, some bad employee goes rogue or something. So what you want to do, protect your data. Sign up for one of these services that monitor your information, your credit cards and things like that. set some new passwords that are stronger than the ones you're using. And don't sign up for every free thing that comes along just because they give you something free. Getting all these different websites and putting your email out there, it's going to eventually end up on the black web or the dark web. So you want to just use caution. Don't expect like your health and like so many other things. There are professionals out here to help you, but you have to take responsibility ultimately for your own health and for your own privacy and security of your information. Well, talking about strange bedfellows, Swizz Beatz Timberland strike a deal with Elon Musk and X. Wow. So they're going to give distribution rights to the 500 million Twitter followers for this new music distribution they're going to put together. And the terms are still under review. But all I can say is that money trumps ideology. You can have this, you can be on opposite ends of the political spectrum, but when billions of dollars get involved, all of that stuff goes out the window. So we're going to watch that one come along. That was a surprising move. What is hot right now, that's something that's happening. The news is hotter than I've seen in quite a while, but it's going to raise your cooling costs. So just brace yourself. And also, I'm going to bring this topic again, global warming. These, when you go out to vote, when you're making decisions on who's going to run your country, your jurisdiction, please consider the impact of global warming and where they stand on these issues. Global warming is real. Now, just because it's 100 degrees a day is not a sign of global warming. But we're talking about climate. We're talking about endemic. We're talking about long-term droughts, floods. All of these things are linked to global warming and climate change. So get ready for a long, hot summer. I think it's going to be close to 100 today in the Washington, D.C. area. All right, let's see what else is going on. NVIDIA. I think I talked about NVIDIA a couple of times, but NVIDIA now is the most valuable public company. NVIDIA specializes in AI, artificial intelligence. They have a market cap of $3.34 trillion this past Tuesday, which passed Microsoft, Apple. Boy, they passed them all. So NVIDIA, now, if you have bought NVIDIA stock, they did a 10-to-1 split last week. That means if you had one share, you suddenly have 10 shares, but at 1/10 the value. I bought a share just out of curiosity about a few months ago, and I think I bought it when it was like $250. And by the time it split, I think it was up about $1,200. So of course that was a pretty good investment. I get lucky sometimes. And then when it went down to 1/10 the value, I went and bought another couple of shares, and it went back up again. It's still going up. I am not a stock advisor or financial advisor, but you do want to look at ways to create passive income. And if you're considering getting onto the stock market, then of course talk to your financial advisor. You definitely don't want to get that information from me, because I'm not here. Like everybody else when it comes to the stock market, I take hints. I look at what I'm using. I go with the old school stocks. I may grab some safe stocks or, stuff like Microsoft and Home Depot, some of these stocks that just really have always gone up, Walmart, things like that. All right, what we're going to do, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk about our topic, our marketing sermon today. Is email marketing dead, or is it dead right? Has it been replaced by social media marketing? So don't you go anywhere. This is the Marketing Pulpit. I'm Robert Gatewood, your host. I'm here every Friday at 10:30 a.m. bringing you the good marketing gospel. So hang around for a minute. We'll be right back in a moment. Welcome back. Welcome back. This is the Marketing Pulpit. Go to marketingpulpit.com. You can find out more about the show. You can also listen to the show on the homepage if you're not in front of your Facebook page or YouTube channel or whatever channel you decide to listen to the show. You can always go to marketingpulpit.com and get the show live right on the homepage. You can also register for the business directory by going to that page. There's a link in the header on the business directory. You can also sign up for the upcoming BLE First Friday networking event, which is going to be this month. Next month, it's going to be on the second Friday because of the holiday. Kind of figure that on July 5th, people are going to be already off. They're going to be deep in their hamburgers and hot dogs. They might not make that special trip. So we move things back to July 12th. Have a great speaker, Mr. John James, going to talk about building financial wealth. And so go to the homepage and register of the Marketing Pulpit. You can also go to BLE Suites and register under their events. Miss Bernadette Clay is going to be there. She's a business maven. She's been very gracious and generous in sharing her facility and her knowledge to help small businesses. And she has been a great supporter of the show. And so I'll be there, MCing as usual. So go to marketingpulpit.com and register for the upcoming First Friday networking event in Largo, Maryland. Let's talk about our topic for today. Let's talk about email marketing. Has social media displaced email marketing? Well, let me put it this way. Some people say social media is easier, it's cheaper, it's faster than email marketing. And there's some truth to that. And some people might say that's a benefit. That's why they should do it. Well, I kind of take the opposite angle. Just because something is easier, cheaper, and faster, to me, that may be the reason not to do it, because the threshold is very low. Now, in your business journey, this is something I want you to always remember, that you have to constantly create what we call degrees of separation. In other words, make yourself stand out from the herd. So if something is cheaper, something is easier, then that means just about anybody can do it. And you become another voice in the wilderness. So I take the approach that, yes, social media can be easier. It can be less expensive than email marketing. Now, what I've discovered about social media is really the embodiment of sameness, of following the crowd, lack of uniqueness. Yeah, you might get a few people that stand out, but you have a lot of folks just doing it because it's easy and the threshold is low. So social media is great for herding the sheep, but it's not that great for slaying the dragons. So if you want a dragon slayer, if you want something that's going to actually help you stand out, you want to grab a tool that maybe everyone is not using, or that requires an extra effort, maybe a little more money, and that will help you stand out above some of the other people. And the good news is, though, you don't have to choose. You can do both, because in your marketing arsenal, you should have a variety of weapons. Okay, email marketing, social media marketing, direct mail, radio, advertising on this show. So you don't have to choose. Just understand that you have to make sure whatever you do is where your audience see it. It's more about the audience than the tool itself. So you can do both. But if you're going to do it, email marketing, you have to understand it, and you have to do it right. Now, some of the most common email marketing platforms or tactics you might have seen, number one is probably a newsletter. You probably have a newsletter in your email box this morning, if not several. They have come from MailChimp, they have come from iContact, Constant Contact, Aweber, one of those platforms. So newsletter is probably the most recognizable form of email marketing. So that is the most common one. But you also may get emails on announcements of events that are coming up. You may get an email announcing a new product from a company. You may get an email from a company saying, look, we're going to be closed because it's going to snow, or because it's 100 degrees, or because it's Juneteenth, or because it's July 4th. So those are ways that people are using email. And of course, you can still you do those same things with your social media platform. So it's not they're not mutually exclusive. Um, Now, some of the benefits of email marketing, however, are you have a committed audience, a more committed audience than, let's say, on social media. Because one thing, they have taken the extra step to give you their contact information, which may or may not be the case in social media. At least you have their email address, if nothing else. And social media does not require, and in many cases, people are not going to give it to you even if you ask for it. They're not going to give you any way to reach back out to them. They will reach you, but rarely can you go back and reach them. Email marketing, you have a more committed audience. The costs are still relatively low. It's not as cheap as social media in some cases, but for startup, the costs are basically low. If you want to join one of these platforms like MailChimp, I think they even give you like 2,000 contacts. You can get 2,000 contacts before they start charging you. Now, there's some extra features that come along with the paid version, but getting in is relatively low. Now, it does require some work, but the cost to get in is relatively low. And it does increase retention. If you're selling a product, and we understand, we've talked about this in our marketing often, cost per acquisition and lifetime value. Lifetime value speaks to retention. By reaching out and nurturing and staying in touch with people, they're more likely to spend again and to tell other people. Email marketing is great for that. You're staying in front of that client or that potential client. So it does increase retention, and it also increases conversion. And you can be specific in your messaging. If you have a platform, just say like a MailChimp or eye contact, then you can actually go into that database and send out a message to certain people. You can put people in groups. If you have multiple locations, you can say, look, this is going to the DC office, people who have the DC office. You got an office down in Texas, send this email on it to the folks who are in Texas. You can also send them on other types of demographic information, on people's birthdays and things like that. So it's great for being specific and targeting by using email marketing. Now, of course, it's not all roses, because there's a couple of people might call things that cause you to hesitate about jumping on email marketing. Number one, it's a lot of work. There is some work involved. Many people outsource this, and that's how, because you want to be consistent. And to be consistent in email marketing, you really almost have to assign somebody to it or bring in somebody to do it, or like I said, or outsource it. Because there's the content creation, sometimes got to do some graphic design, you got to make it look pretty, things like that. So you don't want to, and also you don't want to make it too salesy, because people opt out. Opt out means they don't want to get it from you anymore. So you want to make sure that you put in the work to make it worth your time. So there's some work involved. The other downside of it is that people are busy. A lot of times they get your email, they either delete it or have to go to the spam, to the bulk mail folder, and they never really read the darn thing. So that's the downside. But you can't worry about that, because marketing is a numbers game. You don't worry about the ones that didn't sign up or didn't respond favorably. You're going after the ones that do. So if somebody opts out, and opt out simply means they don't send it to me anymore. And that's what you want. You want to get those people off your list anyway, because they're really not going to be much value to you if they don't want to get your information. So, but you will have quite a few people that they're just not going to read it. So that's one of the downsides of it. But if you're going to do it, let me give you some quick tips. You want to choose the right tool. Now, like I said, I named some of the tools out there. Probably, like I said, probably the most common one right now is MailChimp. If you got an email in your email box today, just go down to the very bottom of the email, and it will have the logo usually of the platform that person is using. And MailChimp right now is probably the one that's most common, but there are others out here. Like I said, Instant Eye Contact, Constant Contact, been around quite a while. And so you want to make sure you get on one of these platforms. Now, what MailChimp is claiming right now, it's true to some degree, that they consider themselves a CRM platform, customer relationship management tool. That means once that information goes into that database, then they can do some things with it. Okay. That means they can do follow up, set up automatic emails. There's AI in there. They can. It's all kind of things going on in that platform. And these tools also have design templates. When you get those nice email marketing, those emails in the newsletters and so forth, they would generally start out with a template. That means MailChimp or whatever platform say, look, you got these templates to choose from to create this email blast. You just pick it. You can change the color. Then you drop in your text, choose your photos, then decide which list, if you have several lists, to send it to. Now, one of the other advantages of using an email marketing platform is spam. Don't send out dozens of emails using your Gmail account. You're going to get blacklisted. Gmail is going to say, look, here comes a spammer. They're going to throw up a firewall and they're going to put your email address on a list that says anytime this person sends out any email in the future, block it. So you want to avoid that by using a platform like a MailChimp or Constant Contact or whatever, because they send the email blast from their servers and their IP address. And so you're not penalized for any infraction. Now, what you have to do, though, they will watch you to make sure that you don't have tons of opt-outs. Let's say if you have a list of 10,000 names and let's say you went out and bought a list somewhere and you send this email blast out and half of them opted out. Well, MailChimp, they're going to opt out from you too because they say you're a spammer. That list was not your list. That means you went out and bought it because too many people opted out. So there's a certain percentage of people that opt out is unacceptable. And opt out simply means when somebody decides to get off your list, then they opt out. And there's a little button there's a link down at the bottom of the email that they can easily unsubscribe. So you want to make sure that when you're sending out your email, that you're not too salesy, you're relevant, you're not talking about something that they might dislike. Understand your audience, because that opt-in feature and opt-out feature is what makes email tenable. Otherwise, people just be spamming all day long, and that doesn't work. And also, like I said, it's good for database management also. When you start building that list, you can do all kinds of things. It's a good way to build you a good database. Now, also, timing is important. Understand your audience and when they're most likely to receive it and read it. Most people avoid the weekend, but if you certain industries, that might be a good time. If you're running a nightclub or something like that, then that could be the right time. But for most regular 9-to-5 businesses, you want to pick a good day during the week, probably within business hours. And the good thing about it, once again, the right tools, these platforms will actually analyze your email and your audience and suggest the best time to send out that email, and you can schedule it in advance. So if I sit here and make this email today at 11:08 on Friday, but I said, wow, Friday's not the best time for my audience, I can go ahead and finish it up and then schedule it to go out, let's say Tuesday at 10 o'clock in the morning. That's what the right tools can do for you. Now, one of the tricks of the trade is to get people to subscribe. Now that's easier said than done. I'm just telling you. Getting that list, building that list is a pretty arduous task. So you have to be creative and strategic. So you can't, like I said, you can't just go out and buy a list, and that breaks the rules, because people in your list should be familiar with who you are. Either they've been a client, they've contacted you, they've given you permission to add them to the list, but you just can't go nilly-willy adding names to your list and sending out emails. That's going to get you blocked. It's going to get you kicked off the platform, and it could get you blacklisted. So what you want to do is get people to subscribe. Now, at the very minimum, let's say if you have a MailChimp or iContact, one of those places, Aweber, you can do what's called an API integration. And I don't want to get too technical here, but you set up your MailChimp account, and then you set up the plugin. Let's say you have a WordPress website. Go ahead and set up a plugin on your website and link the two and create a form. So when anybody goes to your website and signs up, you can say, look, join our mailing list for a free download, or you put it behind some gated content or something like that. That's a good way to build your list. So you just leave it on your website so people can see it, make it visible, and incentivize people. Like I say, I might say, look, join our mailing list and you can watch the Marketing Pulpit show free. That's a pretty good idea. Okay, but anyway, so you got to get people to subscribe. So be creative with that. And also you want to make sure that it's mobile friendly. In other words, that it works on your cell phone as well, because right now about close to 70% of people who are on the internet are accessing it through their mobile devices. So those are some quick tips about email marketing as we wrap things up here. The question we start out with is email marketing being replaced by social media? The answer is no. I can tell you this. Initially, when social media really began to gain momentum, email marketing did take a dive. It took a dip because people did feel like maybe I've got a better mousetrap here to reach my audience, a cheaper, faster way to do it. But as we were quick to find out, it did not have the same impact when it comes to reaching certain people, and particularly nurturing and maintaining and retention and all the other benefits of email marketing. And like I said before, the good news is you don't have to choose. I would say if you're out here in business and you're on social media, it's hard to ignore that 8 million people in the world. But if you want to be a more specific, a little more targeted, and a little more hands-on, then email marketing is definitely the way to go. All right, that's going to wrap it up for today. This is the Marketing Pulpit. I'm Robert Gatewood, your host. I am here every Friday. I want to thank everybody for tuning in, all the regular people who are tuning in. If you're tuning in for the first time, welcome. Thank you for joining us. And we're looking forward to seeing you in the future. I'll be back next week. As a matter of fact, we got a special guest coming on next week, somebody who has, in the spirit of the African American Music Month, then we're going to have a musician coming in next week. And it's going to be a surprise, so you can see her when she gets here. But she is a rising star, homegrown in the D.C. area. We're going to be glad to feature her on the Marketing Pulpit show next week. And Mr. Brown has helped me with my closing here. Thank you, Mr. Brown. If you want to be successful, you have to do these 3 things. Do the right thing, do it at the right time, and you have to do it right. Enough talk. Let's get to work. Mr. Brown, you are the man. We'll see you next week.
One cup of greens per day will lower your risk of dying from heart attack or stroke by 30%. Hallelujah. A half a cup of beans every day will drop you down by another 30% because of the fiber and the medicines in the beans will sweep away the cholesterol and the saturated fat. Half a cup of berries per day with all of the antioxidants and flavonoids will drop your risk down. And then finally, 1/4 of a cup of nuts and seeds every day will drop your risk down by 33%. You simply eat those foods every single day and take everything else away that's destroying you. And we could eradicate heart disease, high blood pressure, and stroke. Glory! Hallelujah.
Register today and get ready for your health revolution.